Hello everybody, in this video we are going to see about store procedures. How to use store procedure, what is the use of store procedure. Basically, whenever we create any query, we need to store somewhere. So suppose we are working on a project and we are creating many queries and some of them are more complicated. And we wanted to use that query again and again, maybe today or maybe after some days. That kind of query which are we wanted to use again and again, that we can store in a form of a store procedure where uh, we can just uh, come again and call that particular store procedure. So that is a reusable component, we can say, just to save our time. And this is very useful and powerful feature of the SQL where we can create many queries, we can do many operations in the store procedures. Now we are going to see how to create a store procedure. Now we do have this particular query. This is very simple, but let's try to do the salary is greater than equal to 50,000. When we see this result, we can see that all these salaries which are more than 50,000, that is it is showing. Let's say we have the requirement that we wanted to see this query maybe after 6 months, just to review the salaries of the employees. So that is something which is we have the requirement. So what we can do, instead of writing this query again, we can just create or we can just write this query in a store procedure, and we will just call that store procedure. How we can do this? For this, we just need to write create procedure, and we can give any name for this particular procedure, and we can say new procedure, or let's say we can say highly paid salary, and we just need to give a bracket here. So this is very simple one, which is I am just creating, and this is highly paid salaries is one procedure which I have created, and in this we can have this query which is written here, and let me try to run this. Once we run this, you can see below the result is successful. Now what we can see is, we can, if we just refresh this, you can see this particular store procedure is available here in the list. Now, how to execute this? We can just say call highly paid salaries. Now, we don't need to write this query or something, like suppose this is something which is we have like written the procedure. We can just call this. For this, what we can do, we can just uh, write this statement and execute it. We can actually call this somewhere else as well. We can just say call like this, and if I try to run this as well, it will give the same result. So this is a very simple form of a procedure which we have created, and this is a reusable component. Suppose there may be the requirement get changed, they wanted to see the salary of more than 60,000, we can just make it here, and then maybe we will just call this particular uh, procedures from here with this statement. So no need to write the query again and again. So this is one thing. This is very simple query which I have written in store procedure. Now, what we can do, we can actually write multiple queries in a single procedure as well. So how to do this? So I'm just copying this here, and I will say, let's say test procedure. I'm just giving a name, and here I am getting, let's say 50,000, more than 50,000 salary, and then we can basically let's say than 10,000. So maybe whatever. So this will come all the salaries which are more than 10,000. So first query will give result of more than 50,000 salary, and second query will give more than 10,000 salary. So this is the way we can create, but here uh, we need to specify the delimiter. Delimiter is one thing which is we need to specify, and this is one of the delimiter. Delimiter is something which is getting a separated thing. Now, if I try to just create this procedure, now this is something which is created. You can say test procedure. Now, if I try to alter this store procedure just to see what is the component or what is the code of this, because we are expecting that these two queries should be included in the store test procedure, but when we check, it is just showing only one. Why it is like that? For that, what we wanted to do is we need to specify the delimiter. Delimiter is something which is we need to specify, and for this, we can give any delimiter. Most of the times in the project, we can specify $, or like this. Most of the data engineers or the database developer use this as well, or this is the one mostly used $sign. So what we need to specify that this is one thing which is we are trying to create, and here we need to specify the begin. We are telling the SQL engine that I'm starting the procedure it here, and the code is ending here. So this is something which is we need to specify. Now, once we have done this, like and we need to specify this dollar again, dollar signs again. So just to make sure that this delimiter has been end, and the new delimiter is something which is semicolon, whatever it is. So this is something which is we are trying to create. Now I need to change this procedure test procedure one, because this is already created. So if I try to run this now this has been created. Now if I just open this and I'll try to alter it now, or just to see. Now you can see this has been created with the two queries. This is the way we can basically use the delimiter with the begin and end mentioning, and whatever the queries which are written here, that will be part of this. Now we can basically just call this procedure like this, test procedure one, and let me run this now. You can see there are two results now. Here the first is the salary which is more than 50,000, and this is something which is salary of more than 10,000. You can see this is 20,000, then probably 25,000 is also there here. So this is the way you can see there are two results, because we have written two separate queries in this particular store procedure. So this is the proper, or we can say professional store procedures which we have just created. And most of the times whenever you are going to work in the project, real time projects, you are going to create the store procedures like this with the delimiter specified, and everything. Now let me try to show you how we can create the same store procedure from here as well. Like create store procedure is something which is available here, an option. If you right click on that, and then we can just give the queries which are we have just written. So you can say create create a procedure. New procedure is the name given. If you want to change, we can change it, not a problem. But I will keep like that only. Begin and end. Now, if I apply this now you can see you will see this is the new code generated, and what is it? Use supply and logistics. So this is the database which is we have uh, this workbench, so that we wanted to use. Drop procedure if exit means if there is already any procedure which is with this name, then it can be it needs to be dropped first before we create a new. Then similar code which we have written, delimiter $, then use supply and logistic is the database name. Again, $, is the delimiter given. Create procedure, new procedure, the bracket, and then begin. Then begin and end, you can say. And similarly, whatever we have written, the same type of code has been generated, and we will just create and apply. So this is execute SQL statement once it is done. And now we can just see that this is something which is got created, and new procedures is something which is this is something which is got created. Now the next thing which I wanted to show, which is more practical, and what happens, like suppose this is the query is this. Let's start from by salary. Now you can say this is something which is showing all the salaries of a particular. Uh, Now this result shows all the salaries. So what is the requirement is, suppose there is a requirement of uh, we wanted to get the particular salary of this, let's say this third number, let's say Suresh. So what we can say, employee ID is equal to 3. So this is the way, but the thing is, when we try to execute this manually, we are just passing this particular employee ID. So how the same parameters or value we can pass to this particular store procedures or when we create a procedure. I am just copying this store procedure which is here I have created, and what we will do, we will just so the delimiter is fine. This is the procedure name. It's procedure with parameter. So this is the one procedure name I'm giving, and here I wanted to specify select this same query which is written here. I wanted to, let's say, display just a salary of I wanted to display salary of from employee salary. And how to do this, like basically what I wanted to do is when I call this call procedure, and if I pass this third number, then my procedure should give me the result of that particular employee 3. So that is something which is I wanted to see how to pass this. Like for that we are creating this, and we need to specify the parameter. So parameter is something which is we can say employee ID. Now most of the times we will give the same name or p underscore employee ID, so that we can identify, or this is not required that we should give the same name as this one, but to identify we can give p underscore employee ID, or maybe param underscore employee ID. Anything is fine, but I generally give p underscore employee ID. And then we need to specify the data type, what type of a parameter it is going to pass. As we are going to pass the number here from here integer, so we need to give it here integer. Now once it is passed, then this particular parameter I need to give it here. So what will happen, this is something which is going to say that for this particular query, I am passing p employee ID, which is getting passed here, and in the where clause it is going to filter out and it will display the salary. So this is the way. Now let me try to create this particular procedure. Now you can say this has been created. Let me refresh this. You can say proc with the parameters. This is something which is got created. Now, basically, we can call this statement proc with parameter is this procedure name and the parameter, which is we are passing as a 3. Let me try to run this now. You can say for this particular parameter, we can get the salary. This way, we can basically create the parameterized store procedures. And this is here it is just one parameter, but when we work in the real-time projects, we need to give multiple parameters. Some of them are integer, some of them are varchar, or some of them are float or true or false kind of parameters also there. So that type of things which we need to give when we create a large store procedure. In real time, there are many complicated queries we need to create, and at that time we need to write such stored procedures with the parameters. That's it from this video. In the next video, we are going to see about figures and events.